Hey everyone, this is Justin, back with a brand new video. Before I say anything, I would like to give a special shout out to everyone who showed love and support for the previous video I uploaded a month ago of the canceled Diva Stars TV series. It took a while for me to make that video, and I was overall proud of the final product, and I'm glad that you guys felt the same. Seeing all the comments you guys posted on the video really lit my heart up, and I'm really glad that this direction I'm taking for my channel is working wonders, and I know it's only going to get better from there. As much as I would love to talk about Diva Stars 24/7, I have plans for future videos, and I want to cover other doll lines that deserve the attention, so the Divas are currently on the back burner for now. But again, I can't thank you guys enough from the bottom of my heart. I genuinely mean it. I'm so grateful to have you guys as a part of my audience, and seeing all the people just sharing the video, watching it, just spreading the word. Again, I just love you guys so much, and I don't know what else to say. I didn't expect the video to be this successful, but it really is, and once again, thank you. But without further ado, let's move on to today's topic. Today we're going to be discussing an interesting piece in doll history. That one time when Mattel briefly had ownership of the Bratz brand after the initial outcome of the whole lawsuit that happened over 10 years ago, regarding which company owned the rights to the dolls, MGA Entertainment or Mattel. And of course, the history behind the infamous Mattel Bratz. For the sake of time and my sanity, I'm going to keep this information regarding the Mattel and MGA lawsuit brief, since there are so many details about it that it would be impossible for me to cover them all in a video like this. So if you want to know more about the court battle between these two companies, I would highly recommend reading the book You Don't Own Me, How Mattel vs. MGA Exposed Barbie's Dark Side, written by Orly Lobel. It goes into much further detail about the suit, as well as the history of both companies, the creators of these iconic dolls, and the drama that resulted in the suit. It's a fantastic read, and I had a great time reading it all in my spare time. But with that out of the way, let's get into it. Many people in the doll community, self-included, know that Mattel and MGA's relationship with each other is, to put it nicely, complicated, which largely stemmed from the release of MGA's Bratz dolls back in May of 2001. Unlike many other dolls from that time period, Bratz had a unique look that mixed edgy streetwear fashion with multi-ethnic characters that had exaggerated stylized proportions, along with a message of expressing your individuality and style, since each character had their own signature look and came with two high-quality outfits that could be mixed and matched, along with the ability to swap each doll's feet. Which I know some people find off-putting, but I personally never had an issue with it. I don't know, maybe that's just me finding weird stuff normal. When Bratz first hit store shelves, they were not an immediate success. However, slowly yet surely, their popularity would grow, particularly in the holiday season. By the end of 2001, Bratz sales would earn MGA Entertainment over $97 million in revenue, and by 2006, over 100 million Bratz dolls were sold and had captured 40% of the doll market. Mattel, who at the time was experiencing a string of failures and decreasing sales for their toy lines, wanted a piece of that Bratz coin, so inevitably the competition was bound to happen sooner or later. In 2002, a year after the release of Bratz, Mattel would launch My Scene, a Barbie spin-off that would feature our titular blonde as a teenager in New York City with her new best friends, Madison and Chelsea. A successor to Mattel's previous Barbie spin-off Generation Girl, which also takes place in New York, this line trades in Barbie's classic pink aesthetic for an edgier, mature style, which is embodied by their clothing, which mixes different patterns and textiles to achieve a more realistic look. This is contrasted by the doll's head sculpt, which shares similar features to that of a Bratz doll, as both share a large head, big eyes, pouty lips, and a small nose. Even the My Scene girl's footwear is similar to that of Bratz, as both doll lines feature big, chunky platform shoes. The only difference is that Bratz have snap-off feet, while My Scene dolls have traditional Barbie feet, since both obviously share the same body. Even though they weren't as commercially successful as Bratz, My Scene still managed to become a success for Mattel and would last for a good couple of years before they were discontinued in 2011. Off topic, but I'm pretty sure many of you who grew up in the 2000s remember going on to myscene.com and spending hours playing their iconic Flash games and watching their excellent web show. If you get it, you get it, but if you don't, I don't know what to tell you then. Anyway, my scene wasn't enough for Mattel. They were still yearning for the success that Bratz had, so they attempted to compete with another doll line, Flavas, which was released in 2003. I don't really think I need to say anything else other than that. In fact, I'll just let the commercial speak for itself.
What's your flavor? Tell me what's your flavor? What's your flavor? Tell me what's your flavor?
My flavor is always me, cause flavor's your individuality.
You're all about flavor.
You know it.
What's your flavor? Tell me what's your flavor?
Now change your flavor to fit your mood. Your flavor is always true.
What's your flavor? Tell me what's
You can collect all 6 of the flavors crew in street or sport. Dolls do not move on their own. Each doll sold separately.
They were discontinued shortly after they came out, and you could probably tell why. Despite their best attempts, Mattel was not earning the success that they were hoping for with the release of these new doll lines, especially compared to that of the success of their competitor, MGA Entertainment's flagship doll. However, Mattel had other plans in mind to take down their competition. If they weren't going to compete with MGA Entertainment, then they'll just have to sue one of their employees responsible for the success of Bratz. That's all they needed to do to... Wait, what? The legal battle began in April of 2004, when Mattel filed a lawsuit against former employee Carter Bryant, claiming that he had violated his contractual and common law duties to Mattel by failing to disclose his conceptual sketches of the Bratz dolls before pitching them to MGA Entertainment. This was right after Mattel met up with Hong Kong lawyers who were representing a toy company that was being sued by MGA over copyright infringement, where they discussed the contract that Bryant had signed with MGA while he was still working for Mattel. A countersuit was filed by Bryant in November, alleging that the employee confidential and inventions agreement he signed was too broad to be enforced, adding that he came up with the concept of Bratz while on an 8-month break from Mattel in 1998. MGA would get involved as a defendant in December of 2004 to avoid controversy. Furthermore, MGA would file their own lawsuit against Mattel in April of 2005 over the release of their My Scene dolls, claiming that they were a copy of the Bratz line, and would allege that Mattel engaged in acts of unfair competition. Again, I'm not going to discuss every single detail of this lawsuit since, once again, it's a lot to take in, and I don't want to give myself or you guys a headache. So let's skip to 2008, where the verdict was finalized. In December of that year, the U.S. District Court in Riverside, California would determine that Bryant had violated his contract while he was working at Mattel, and as a result, Mattel was awarded $100 million in damages and was ultimately given the rights to Bratz. U.S. District Court Judge Stephen Larson granted an injunction, which ordered MGA Entertainment to halt production and distribution of their Bratz dolls. Because of this, many Bratz dolls scheduled for a 2009 release would ultimately be scrapped. Additionally, they were given until December 31st of that year to sell off existing stock before a recall was set to take place, which never materialized. Mattel quickly went to work on their version of Bratz, while MGA Entertainment would release a doll line called Moxie Girls, which was initially released as a replacement for Bratz. Before Mattel could release their version of the dolls, MGA would file an appeal against the lawsuit. The 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in San Francisco, California would ultimately overturn the injunction in July of 2010, and MGA would regain the rights to Bratz and would relaunch them later in the year. Mattel's version of Bratz would never be released. So now that we briefly covered the legal battles over the ownership of Bratz, let's talk about the meat and potatoes. The nuts and bolts. The nitty-gritty of it all. The Mattel Bratz. Let's talk about them. Mattel's version of Bratz has a very long and interesting story behind them. Since Mattel lost ownership of the brand, their iteration of the dolls never saw the light of day. However, the only light that they would see was in the secondary market. As early as 2010, not too long after the dolls were quietly shelved, eBay listings for factory sample heads sold from China started to surface. At the time, the identity of these heads was unknown, hence why many collectors at the time called them mystery heads. These sculpts not only bore a striking resemblance to sculpts used for other Mattel dolls like My Scene and Monster High, but also resembled those of a Bratz doll, since both sport identical features. Because of this familiar look, many in the doll community suspected that these factory heads were meant to be used for Mattel's iteration of Bratz, while others would speculate that these were meant to be used for a My Scene reboot. The former, as many of us know, turned out to be the case. as confirmed by Monster High creator Garrett Sander in an Instagram story around 2020. Doll YouTuber Frank DeCina released a video last year solely dedicated to the Mattel Bratz. He not only goes through their history, but also showcases his own collection of these dolls. It's a very interesting video. However, this is mainly for my Spanish-speaking viewers, since the video is entirely in Spanish and there are no English subtitles. So if you're fluent in the language, then go check out his video. While these factory samples have circulated for over a decade now, pictures of the complete product were pretty elusive to find since they were never officially released. That was at least until April of 2022, when Instagram user @mini.plastic posted stock pictures of the dolls on their story that originated from former Mattel designer Jamie Dionda's portfolio, which now gives us a full look at what the dolls would have looked like. First things first, we could already tell that these are a far cry from the Bratz dolls released by MGA. Aside from the dolls themselves, one of the major changes that differentiates these from MGA's dolls are the characters, or their names in this instance. With the exception of Jade, the other girls have been given different names. In this lineup, we have Isabel, who's their version of Yasmin, Logan, who's their version of Chloe, and lastly, Nia, who's their version of Sasha. The reason for the name changes is that when Bratz was being developed by Carter Bryant, 3/4 of the core 4 had different names and early character sketches prior to their final release, while Jade was the only character to have kept her name, hence why this is also the case when it comes to the Mattel Bratz. However, it's also worth noting that Jade is also referred to as Melody on the back of the boxes for some reason. Considering they would have had ownership of the trademark for Jade's name at the time, it's odd how Melody would have also been considered her name. It's unknown why. Perhaps Melody would have been her name for international markets, but again, I don't know if that would have been the case. Another significant change that separates these dolls from the MGA Bratz is the logo. We all know what the Bratz logo looks like. It's pretty much engraved into our minds. It's quintessential to the brand and incredibly iconic. Mattel obviously had to change the logo for their dolls, and it's fine, I guess. It's blurred out, likely due to legal reasons, but from what I'm looking at, it's cute. It doesn't really scream Bratz, but I'll give the rest of my opinion once we get there. In terms of lines that were slated for release, 4 lines were planned. Let's Hang Out, Electric Outfits, Poolside, and Team Shopping. Let's talk about each one, shall we? Let's Hang Out is up first. This line includes Isabel, Logan, Nia, and Jade in some casual wear. They were all essentially wearing the same oversized tops, sparkly pairs of leggings, and some shoes and earrings as well. Not really much to say other than that. Judging by the promo pic on the back of Logan's box, it appears that they're at some sort of amusement park, but I'm not 100% sure. The Electric Outfits line is very reminiscent of Girls' Night Out, but with a smaller budget and not as well executed. The girls in this line are wearing glitzy, sparkly dresses with gold and silver accents for a night out on the town. Accessories include really questionable purses, abnormally large BlackBerry phones, were they even still popular around this time? And some smaller accessories as well. In the promo pic shown on the back of the box, it showcases all 4 girls, but in-box prototypes of Isabel and Nia are currently missing as of the release of this video. Poolside is next, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a swimwear line featuring Logan and Jade wearing some one-piece swimsuits. Their accessories include a bottle of juice, beach bags, an MP3 player, and probably the most early 2010s thing ever, shutter shades. It was definitely a different time for fashion. Since there's no picture of the back of the box, it's unknown if Isabel or Nia were planned for this line. Lastly, we have the Team Shopping 2-pack with Isabel and Logan, which reminds me a lot of the My Scene 2-packs that would be released in their later years and the way that they're displayed in the box. These two are wearing some very time-appropriate looks, Logan's especially. They also come with 2 milkshake cups, another BlackBerry phone, a random purse, and 2 charm bracelets. Just like with the previous line, it's unknown if a 2-pack with Nia and Jade was ever planned. But yeah, those are all the lines that were planned, but of course, were never released and are likely never going to be released, which is probably for the better in my opinion. Personally, I don't love these. They're fine and all, I like the head sculpts, and the screenings are cute, but they lack a lot of features that made the original Bratz special. The clothes also lack personality and are pretty basic for the most part. Combine that with the awkward bodies that A, don't look like they have knee articulation, and B, lack the peg feet that made Bratz special to begin with, and you get a Bratz line that is less Bratz and more of a failed My Scene spin-off that takes place in middle school. I'd also like to point out that the packaging does not give me Bratz vibes either. It's cute, but again, nothing special. I do like the artwork of the girls though, I will give them that. But I think that's all I need to say about these dolls. I pretty much covered everything about that, so let's conclude the video with this. After the lawsuit and eventual appeal, MGA would release new Bratz throughout the 2010s with varying degrees of success, while Mattel would release Monster High, which would become a big success for the company, earning them over $50 million in sales by 2013. However, both companies would get involved in yet another court battle regarding trade secrets. In August of 2010, MGA would file a counterclaim, alleging that Mattel would steal trade secret information about their upcoming releases. Mattel requested the courts to reverse or vacate the decision on grounds that there was a lack of evidence regarding the claims made by MGA, adding that the claim was untimely since the statute of limitation had occurred in 2004 and more than 3 years had already passed. The lawsuit was later overturned in January of 2013. Yet another lawsuit would be filed exactly the following year in 2014 by MGA Entertainment, regarding Mattel stealing trade secrets because one wasn't enough for them. I don't know if it's ongoing or not, but at this point, imagine how tired we are.
But imagine how tired we are. Imagine how tired we are of it.
To this day, both companies are definitely not on good terms with each other, which is large in part thanks to the behavior of MGA Entertainment CEO Isaac Larian when it comes to the posts on his LinkedIn page, as he always seems to try to drag Mattel in most of his posts, with his most recent post bashing Monster High creator Garrett Sanders' post on Instagram, which threw some subtle shade directed at MGA's Shadow High line. Drama between both companies would occur in May of 2021, when transcripts of sent emails between both companies were revealed on MGA's website, which stemmed from releases, planned or otherwise, from both companies. Many predicted this would result in yet another lawsuit, however, this never happened. MGA tried to patch things up with Mattel in a social media post shared by the official Bratz account 2 months later, but this was likely a publicity stunt. As I mentioned previously, Isaac Larian likes to keep it messy on his LinkedIn page, so really, who's the winner here? I'll let you guys decide in the comments below. But that is pretty much it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. It was definitely a roller coaster ride, but in the end, it was all worth it. Thank you guys again so much for watching the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to follow me on social media, links will also be in the description below. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!